So if you do not know me, my name is Nicole Funk, and I have the distinct privilege of introducing Alexandra this morning. There are a few things that have become abundantly clear to me over the past 5 years that I have known Alexandra. The first is that she is marked by a deep and profound sense of joy. You cannot help but be in her presence and feel so much deep joy. The second is that I believe she desires to create a sense of belonging wherever she goes. She is very intentional about fostering connections and building relationships and bringing a sense of meaning into every place that she steps into. And the last is that I believe she does everything as work unto the Lord, not doing it for human approval, but doing it for the Lord. And so she has this work ethic that is matched by a deep sense of thoughtfulness. And everything that she puts her mind to, everything she puts her hands to is better off because of it. And you guys are all lucky to get to hear from her today. So I'm going to welcome up Alexandra.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Over 770,000 people in the United States experienced homelessness in the year of 2024. Unfortunately, this isn't just some statistic that we can lightly brush off. It's a genuine reflection of how many people are living without stability, safety, and community. They struggle to access basic needs like food, clean water, and education. But at the same time, businesses generate hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. Your local Starbucks, for example, sells around 600 cups of coffee a day, turning $5,000 over daily. So, what if your trip to Starbucks could be more than just a good drink? What if businesses could use their resources to lift people out of poverty, support struggling communities, and spread God's love in tangible ways? Through my Capstone project, I've explored how it's possible to build a business that doesn't just focus on profits, but on making a real, lasting impact for Christ. I set out to learn how I can start a business that can serve others well, reflect God's purpose, and become a vessel for His kingdom in the world. This idea stems from a trip that I took in the summer of 2023. We went to the Wisconsin Dells to spend a week on the lake, and we went into town to get some food. We stumbled upon the cutest little ice cream shop called Huckleberry's. It ironically had a lot of the small things that I love. My jaw dropped practically the whole time because I kept finding things that made my soul extremely happy. There were stuffed animal ducks and geese. There were bucket hats, green corduroy bucket hats. There were cups with smiley faces on them. There were the cutest little sweatshirts and t-shirts. It just had all the things that I love. I was captivated by the shop, and it sparked the idea, initially a joke, to start my own place. As time went on, I thought more about it, and I realized that starting a business does align with a lot of what I like. When Capstone was introduced, we were asked the question, what do you love? This question almost revealed that I loved too much. It was hard for me to stop writing when I ran out of room on the page. Put simply and more broadly than I did on that page, I love growing, I love learning, I love serving, and I love people. And on that family trip, I found something that could encompass all these things that I love. It wasn't until the beginning of my senior year that I realized that I wanted to incorporate missions into the business that I want to start. I didn't even know if it was something realistic, but the more that I researched, the more that I realized it wasn't only possible, it was powerful. As I've explored this idea of entrepreneurship, Colossians 3:17 has been guiding me. It says, "And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him." This verse perfectly captures what I want to emphasize in my capstone. It's a reminder to honor God in everything that we do, and to approach each endeavor with gratitude and with purpose. The three ideas that I am sharing with you today aren't just steps for building a business. They are ways of thinking that have started to shape how I live and how I lead. They will help me remain grounded when things feel uncertain and overwhelming, and I encourage you to reflect on these and apply them to whatever season of life that you are in. The first thing that I want to emphasize is the fact that entrepreneurship requires the courage to start and the wisdom to adapt. This is what Erin Gautier, a family friend, told me during our interview. Her and her husband started a coffee cart called Flipside Coffee, and they take it to different events around Denver. My goal in this conversation was to get a good understanding of what entrepreneurship looks like early on in the process. She told me that having a courageous and adventurous spirit isn't always something that comes naturally. It's something that you can develop through time. In junior sem last year, we talked about how developing courage takes 1,000 small decisions. Mr. Spector used the example of a man in war. This soldier made a split-second decision to save others that cost him his life. This decision wasn't on a whim, or it wasn't on an impulse. He needed to train his mind so that action became instinctual. Each day gives us the opportunity to practice courage. We could admit that we are wrong, ask for help, say no to peer pressure, start a conversation with someone new, and speak up in hard conversations. Making these small decisions of courage enables us to make the harder decisions when faced in front of us. Erin herself had to train her mindset to embrace the risk that she faced as an entrepreneur, recognizing that it's not only part of being an entrepreneur, but it's central to growing as an entrepreneur. In order to train our mindsets, we need to make 1,000 small decisions where we choose courage over comfort. Once we train our mindset, we can take on the life-changing risks with confidence. But instead of seeing them as risk, we can see them as an opportunity to grow. This completely transforms how we approach them. Trusting God in this uncertainty offers us peace, reminding us that the outcome is never fully in our hands. Instead of carrying the weight of control, we can surrender it to Him, finding strength and lightness to move forward. Seeking adventure and embracing risk, as Erin shared, isn't just about chasing opportunity. It's about adaptability. As an entrepreneur, things often don't go as planned, but having an open mind allows us to pivot gracefully, learn from every setback, and see challenges as chances to grow. This creates a space to listen well to others and to seek their value and their input and to make decisions that align with God's character and purpose rather than your own agenda. A good mindset, one that's open and focused on serving God, sets you up to reflect Christ in all of the different areas of your life, not just your work. It influences your thoughts, your interactions, and even your goals, allowing you to act more like Jesus, full of love, joy, humility, courage, and the willingness to trust God with everything. The second thing that I want to emphasize comes from a woman named Mrs. Melton. She is one of the founders of Front Range and is the executive manager of the nonprofit Get Hope Global. Get Hope Global trains women in poverty to start their own businesses selling crafts that they make themselves, like jewelry. It essentially empowers women with life-giving hope. Mrs. Melton had many things to say, but the one that I want to point out is this: success is not in what is gained, but in what is given. This challenges the way that we view achievement. We live in a culture that defines success by how much money we earn, how fast we grow, and how much recognition we receive. This mindset flips that definition on its head. It says that the truest form of success comes from serving others. A business that operates with this servant-hearted leadership acknowledges that the greatest impact comes not from the extraordinary moments, but from the consistent, small acts of service. In Scripture, we see over and over how Jesus didn't come to be served, but to serve. This servant leadership creates a culture where people are genuinely seen, known, and loved. It turns a workplace into an organization full of encouragement. Last semester, I had the privilege of meeting with Devin Harwell. He is someone who runs a business that specializes in designing, building, and polishing wooden structures for stores like King Soopers. What sets Devin's business apart is the way that he uses it to serve. He hires felons from a halfway house, giving them the opportunity to rebuild their lives, support their family, and move forward from difficult circumstances. I had the chance to go through the hiring process with Devin, and I met felons who have been working for him for over 10 years. It was inspiring to see the genuine happiness and gratitude that these men felt working there. He gave them the chance, they seized it, and they used it to grow. I got to see firsthand what it looks like to incorporate missions into business. Devin's example is one that I hope to follow, using business as a platform to give opportunity to those who can't find it anywhere else. Every time that we give instead of take, we are building virtue that matters. The way that we live today is shaping who we are becoming. If you're intentional about giving your time, giving your attention, giving your care, and giving your heart, you're already becoming a leader who reflects Christ. That matters. Your effort matters more than your perfection. God sees this effort and he uses it. God can do a lot with a willing heart. Through it all, it's important to prioritize what we can give and not what we can gain from our work. The third thing that I want to emphasize is this. If we are the closest thing that people come to encountering Jesus, we need to do our very best to let our words and our actions mirror his character. There are people who have never read scripture, never stepped into a church, and have only seen distorted versions of who God is. But then we must be people who paint a true and beautiful picture of who God is. Our work, our lives, should echo the love, compassion, and grace of Christ so that others can feel his presence, maybe even for the first time. We need to be respectful and kind because we never know who needs that glimpse of Christ. Every interaction is a chance to show someone the love of Jesus. But in order to live like Jesus, to reflect him well, we need to know Jesus. We can't pour out what hasn't been first poured into us. Time in word, in prayer, and in stillness will let God shape our hearts and our minds to be more like his. If we are able to be patient when it's inconvenient, honest when it costs us something, and forgive when it's painful, there will be evidence of who we follow. We need to continue this through hardship and shortcoming, moving forward with humility, knowing that it's God's strength and not ours. This is the whole mindset that I want to carry into the business that I hope to start. I want it to shape how I lead and how I serve. When people walk in, I want them to feel the love of Christ through my actions, through our actions, not by how much money we donate or the mission plastered on the wall. I want it to feel it through our service. Starting this business is more than a dream that I think is worth pursuing. It's about creating something that lives out my faith. Every part of business can be a reflection of God's heart if built on the right foundation. I know that I won't do this perfectly, and I still have a lot to learn. But if the business that I create can be one small way that someone experiences God's love, it's worth building. What I've realized and what I've already said is that the greatest impact comes not from the extraordinary moments, but from the simple and steady acts of service. It's choosing to be kind, to listen well, and to show up when it's easier to walk away. Because if we each take responsibility for the influence that we carry, we can start to shift the culture around us, one conversation, one decision, one moment at a time. Starting a business with missions does not have to be complicated. Through my research, I explored the practical steps like registering the business legally, applying for loans, finding a marketing plan, and hiring a team. It'll take work, but it feels manageable with preparation and prayer. On top of that, incorporating missions does not require something big. It just takes intentionality. One of the biggest goals that I have is to serve the homeless through my work. This can take many forms, like creating partnerships with nonprofits to donate to, or hosting events once or twice a month where the community can gather and we can create care packages for the homeless, hiring women who are struggling, or just creating a kind and welcoming space and listening to the real needs of the people. What I know right now is that the most impactful things are the smallest: being present, being kind, and being willing to serve in the quiet, unseen moments. With this, I want to leave you with something that you can live out, something you can start thinking about right now. One of my favorite quotes by John Mark Comer says, "Our job is to make the invisible God visible, to mirror and mimic what he is like to the world. We can glorify God by doing our work in such a way that we can make the invisible God visible by what we do and how we do it." In the future, I know that I am not guaranteed to start a business that reflects Christ, but I'm eager to try. Until then, I want to keep pushing myself to live out these three mindsets. I want to choose courage over comfort. I want to find success in what I give, and I want to mirror Jesus in my words, actions, and work. I challenge you to start thinking about how you can make the invisible God visible through your words, your actions, and your work. Even when you don't see the fruits of your labor, God will see your efforts, and he will make your efforts bear fruit. Trust that. I will leave you with a verse, Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Thank you.
All right. I think we have a few moments for some questions for Alexandra. So if anyone in the audience would like to ask her a question, you are free to do that.
Do you have any idea of what kind of business you might like to start?
I want to do a little shop, like ice cream or smoothie or coffee or whatever. Yeah.
Have you thought of names?
No, I haven't. It's actually been like sad because I can't think of anything, but it'll come. It'll come. Sorry. Where? Either here or Virginia Beach, probably.
You have a goal of when you want this to happen?
After I graduate college, probably I'll start the process.
Are you gonna work with somebody?
Probably, yeah. I don't know, my friends, I guess. Oh, yeah.
Would you want like a smaller business or more like a bigger?
A smaller business.
What college are you going to?
I'm going to Regent University, which is in Virginia Beach. Yeah.
Was there anyone in your life, like growing up, that made you interested in running a business, or where did that come from when you were younger?
Well, both of my parents kind of have their own businesses, but it mainly came from my experience at Huckleberry's.
Thanks, Alexandra.
You had some infusion.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm studying business. Yeah.
Will you start your business after you get out?
What?
Will you start your business after you get out of college?
Oh, yes, that's my goal. Yeah.
So I think I used to work at a halfway house.
Yeah.
And part of my job was like managing finances for the people that were going out and taking the job. And I think the hardest thing that I experienced with those gentlemen was finding business owners that would actually like give them a chance. So I applaud Mr. Harwell for doing that successfully and being a good example of that. I think that's wonderful, and I think that's wonderful that you follow his example. And I just pray for success and like your heart in that, like you can see that come through.
Thank you. Yeah. Probably just one, but we'll see what happens, I guess. I don't know. Not that I've thought about, but I definitely want voices from people that I care about. Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna sell more than just like smoothies or ice cream?
Yeah, probably. I'll probably do like a little gift shop type thing too.
What will you have in your gift shop?
Duck stuffed animals.
All right. If you have more questions for Alexandra, you can ask her after this session is coming to a close. But I just want you guys to give her one more round of applause.